Hi guys, welcome back to the final lesson of From PSD to HTML5. My name is Dan Wellman, and in this lesson we're going to look at a brief range of tips and tricks just to round off the course. I can't actually show you the first one. I wanted to show you earlier after we had looked at the CSS3 PS plugin, but I couldn't, so I'm just going to talk about it here briefly. So you remember how we used the plugin to generate CSS3 for us based on the layer we selected? Well, Creative Cloud versions of Photoshop already have this feature directly built into the application, so we don't need to install the plugin to generate CSS. And because it's actually built into the application, it's quicker. So we don't need to send the layer information off to a web service, and we don't need to wait 20 seconds every time for it to generate the styles. So when we select layers in a Creative Cloud version of Photoshop, then we get an extra item in the context menu that just says Generate CSS. And then we can use the Properties panel just to see that CSS. And that's much quicker than using the plugin. So that's a real bonus for Creative Cloud users. Unfortunately, even if you do a free trial, you still don't get this feature. So this really is just for members of Creative Cloud only. And there's other features like this in Photoshop. So the next little tip here, this is for picking colors. So if you've been a long time user of Photoshop, then you might remember in some versions of Photoshop years ago, when we selected the color picker tool, we could pick a color from anywhere on our screen. But now, let's just open up Photoshop again, and we'll just make this a bit smaller so we can see some of the desktop in the background. So if we select the color picker and come out of the bounds of the program, it's like, where's the color picker gone? But this feature has actually been added back into CS6 now. So if we click and hold while the color picker is selected and then drag outside of Photoshop, I think I probably need to open up a PSD. So hang on a second. Okay, so yeah, we've got the color picker selected now. So if we click anywhere inside the PSD, we can then drag out the PSD, and suddenly, we can use the color picker outside of the Photoshop application window. That's a really awesome feature that, I for one was disappointed to see that removed, and I'm super happy that it's back again because it's really awesome. So now if we're like browsing a website or something and we see a really cool color that we like the look of, we can just open up the picker here and grab that color direct. So super awesome, super useful, and I'm glad it's back. So the next couple of tips are in the layers panel. So as developers, we'll probably be working in here, quite often. I'm just going to remove that now so that we can see a bit more of the layers panel, and I'll probably just I'll switch these two off as well. Okay, so one of the new enhancements for CS6 actually is, we quite often need to isolate a particular layer. So what we've done previously is with the move tool selected, if we click on something, it shows us the layer, and we don't really have that many layers to work with here. So this PSD is really organized and everything's labeled, so it's been really easy to find the different layers that we need. But that's not always the case. So a really useful, awesome feature of CS6 is this here, and this is the layer filter bar. So for example, if we wanted to find all of the text layers in a PSD, then we just click the text button, and suddenly, the layer filter has filtered out everything except all of the text layers. So it's a brand new feature in CS6, and it's awesome, and we can filter out so that we've, just got the layers which contain images. So super awesome, and helpful to us as developers specifically. So another common scenario is that we might receive a PSD that's got, a whole bunch of layers switched off, and there could be several reasons for this. So the designer might have started up mocking up designs for things which are going to be in the phase 2 for the website. So they're not actually needed. We don't need to use them at this point. We're just building the phase 1 of the website. But, there's a whole bunch of layers that are in the PSD and switched off. And that might be fine to start with. But once we've been working for the PSD for a while and, we started switching off layers, when we go to switch the layers back on, to get the dimensions of something or check the spacing, if we accidentally switch on one of the layers for the new feature that the designer is developing whilst we're building the phase 1, we could get ourselves into a real mess. We could start adding code for features that that we don't need to. So another brand new feature of Photoshop is the layer snapshot, and it's part of the history panel. And if we open up the history panel there, the snapshot button is there. So we've got a bunch of layers switched off. So we can take a snapshot of the PSD and that will remember exactly what's been switched on and off. So, we can switch on a bunch of things, and then if we want to go back to the earlier snapshot, we just click it there. It remembers the layer visibility. So again, that's another super useful feature that's brand new in CS6, and it really is useful for us developers as well, not just designers. So in this final lesson, we've just looked at a couple of very basic tips and tricks just for improving our workflow slightly, just to round off the course. So in the next lesson, we'll recap over everything we've learned throughout the course. Thanks for watching.